The Pamir Highway is one of the highest roads on Earth. It runs for 1,200 kilometers across the roof of the world, through mountain passes above 4,000 meters, through valleys that see virtually no other traffic, past lakes at altitude that have no name on most maps, along borders with Afghanistan and China that you can see with your naked eye. The road passes through Tajikistan. Almost no one drives it. This is the most remote country in this series. It is also, for the right kind of traveler, the most extraordinary. Number 1. Tajikistan is 93% mountains. The Pamir mountain range, called the roof of the world, in local tradition, covers most of the eastern half of the country and contains some of the highest terrain on Earth outside the Himalayas. Peaks here routinely exceed 6,000 and 7,000 meters. The average elevation of the Pamir Plateau is 4,000 meters. Even the valleys in Tajikistan are at altitude. The capital Dushanbe sits at 800 meters, which makes it feel like lowland by comparison to the rest of the country. The landscapes are extreme in a way that photographs only partially capture. Narrow gorges where the walls rise nearly vertically for hundreds of meters. Wide plateau valleys where the grassland is so high that it's above the cloud line. Rivers that run every shade from turquoise to deep blue depending on what glaciers they drain. Number 2. The Pamir Highway. The M41 Highway, the Pamir Highway, is one of the greatest road journeys on Earth, and it runs almost entirely through Tajikistan before crossing into Kyrgyzstan. Built by the Soviets as a strategic route, it passes through some of the most dramatic landscape in the world. Driving it in a rented four-wheel drive takes 7 to 10 days from Dushanbe to Osh in Kyrgyzstan, depending on stops and conditions. You cross 5 passes above 4,000 meters. You camp beside high-altitude lakes. You pass through villages where the nearest town is a day's drive away. The road is passable in summer without specialist equipment, though a good vehicle and mechanical confidence are important. Shared taxis cover portions of the route for travelers who don't want to rent a vehicle. Local guest houses operate along the entire route. This is not an easy journey. It is one of the most memorable journeys possible. Number 3. The Wakhan Corridor. In the far southeast of Tajikistan, wedged between Afghanistan to the south and China to the east, the Wakhan Corridor is a narrow strip of valley carved by the Panj River. The river marks the border with Afghanistan. In places you can see the opposite bank, where Afghan villagers live lives that look almost identical to those on the Tajik side. The Wakhan is home to Wakhi people, a small ethnic group with their own language and a culture shaped by millennia of isolation at altitude. The fortress ruins of Yamchun overlook the valley and date back 2,000 years. The surrounding peaks include Nashak at 7,492 meters. Getting to the Wakhan requires time, patience, and willingness to travel on rough roads. The reward is complete solitude and one of the most dramatically beautiful corners of the planet. Number 4. Iskanderkul. Lake Iskanderkul, the Lake of Alexander, named for Alexander the Great who may have passed through the region, sits at 2,200 meters in a natural bowl surrounded by peaks. The water is jade green in summer, fed by glaciers. Waterfalls drop into it from the surrounding cliffs. The lake is reachable from Dushanbe in about 4 hours. There are guest houses at the lakeside. Hiking trails lead to viewpoints above the lake and into the surrounding Fan Mountains, which are among the most beautiful in Central Asia, dramatic red and gray rock faces rising above valleys of apricot trees. Number 5. Dushanbe is a functional base and nothing more. The capital city of Dushanbe is a small, Soviet-planned city that functions as your entry point and rest base. It's not architecturally dramatic or culturally exciting, but it's more comfortable than you might expect. There are decent restaurants, a functioning bazaar, and reasonable guest houses. The National Museum of Tajikistan has a remarkable collection of objects from Silk Road archaeological sites, including a 17-meter reclining Buddha found in northern Tajikistan, one of the largest in Central Asia. The Navras Palace and the Palace of Nations reflect the country's interest in post-Soviet architectural grandeur. A day in Dushanbe is enough before heading to the mountains. Number 6. The cost is extremely low. Tajikistan is one of the cheapest countries in Asia. A guest house bed, the standard accommodation outside Dushanbe, costs $5 to $12 per night, almost always including dinner and breakfast. A meal at a local chaikhana costs $1 to $3. Shared taxis between cities cost $2 to $5 per person. A rented four-wheel drive for the Pamir Highway, shared between 4 people, comes to about $15 to $20 per person per day including fuel. A 3-week journey through Tajikistan, Dushanbe, the Fan Mountains, the Pamir Highway, and the Wakhan Corridor, costs around $400 to $500 total. That's for 3 weeks of extreme mountain travel. Number 7. Visa and logistics. Most nationalities require a visa for Tajikistan. The e-visa is obtained online before travel and is straightforward, $50 for 30 days, processed within 5 working days. The GBAO permit, required for the Pamir and Wakhan regions, is obtained at the same time for an additional $20. Dushanbe's airport has connections to Moscow, Istanbul, Dubai, and several regional cities. The overland crossing from Kyrgyzstan via the Pamir Highway is one of the great border crossings in Central Asia. Number 8. This country is not for every traveler. Tajikistan rewards patience, physical fitness, tolerance for basic conditions, and genuine curiosity about remote places. The infrastructure outside Dushanbe is minimal. Roads are rough. Communication is difficult. Plans change due to weather or road conditions. If that sounds like a problem, Tajikistan is not for you. If it sounds like the point, if you've traveled enough to want something genuinely difficult and genuinely remote, Tajikistan is probably the most extraordinary country in this entire series. The Pamir Highway is not a metaphor for adventure. It's a road, at 4,000 meters, in one of the most isolated places on Earth. And you can drive it. This has been the last video in the main country series. Subscribe and watch all 7, Georgia, Uzbekistan, Moldova, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Armenia, and Azerbaijan, if you want the full picture of what this region offers. The Silk Road is waiting.